G'day folks, Corey Hind. I hope you're really well. Have I got a story for you? So I'm going to change tack for a while and I'm going to tell some stories that are here to educate, inspire, and get people thinking differently. Because I think if we all do the same stuff all the time, whilst we try to market and grow our businesses, that's not necessarily a good thing. So I'm going to do a series of videos called Unusual Marketing Stories, and this one is a doozy. It's called the $1,000,000 Email Marketer, and anyone who follows direct response copywriting or email copywriting will know this name for sure. Going to be talking about a guy called Ben Settle, who is as intriguing as they come. I want to talk to you about Ben Settle because he does things very, very differently, and I think that's good. So hopefully you can learn something from what this guy does, maybe learn a bit about storytelling, copywriting, and doing things differently. Okay, so it's called the $1,000,000 Email Marketer. I might just shrink my head out of the way, or maybe just shrink it a little bit so that we can look at the stuff. So Ben Settle is essentially a copywriter who has an email list that he sells stuff to. That's really the whole story. If this guy isn't making $1,000,000 a year US, I'd be very surprised. It's probably far more than that. He's been around, he's probably the best on the planet, and he's got a hell of a reputation. How? That's the intriguing part of the story. So this guy makes a lot of money, and from all reports, he works a few hours per day. I'm sure he has bursts of work where he does a lot more work. Maybe he still has some retainer clients he does work for, but essentially, I think his usual workday is a few hours long, and he makes serious money from doing what he does. So this is him here, Ben Settle. Okay, he is just a guy I follow. I read his email every single day. Okay, I subscribe to a few emails that I read specifically to try and unpack what they're doing and how it gets them the result they want. Email is such a fascinating way to grow your business, and this guy is just as fascinating as they come. Now, here's his homepage, his landing page. It's really cool. Like, it's just cool. It's got this cool comic. It's got some edgy sort of writing. It's different. It's just really cool. In fact, I think I've got it just over here. This is his blog. If I just go back to Ben Settle's main page, you'll see that here's the actual landing page itself. So it's got this cool comic up the top. His name is written in this cool way. We've got the obvious opt-in there. Some social proof from the best copywriters and business growth guys around. Ken McCarthy, Russell Brunson, Gary. These are all legends of the direct response copywriting game. Now, direct response copywriting is different to general marketing. I mean, some marketers might do brand awareness and communication. This direct response is, I'm going to persuade you to do this thing. It's a very powerful business skill. In fact, I think it's one of the most important business skills to have is the ability to communicate. Now, here's an email that went out just last week. So Friday, this is now Monday. I've got his subject line here. The difference between being eccentric and being a schmuck. Now, if you're a person on his email list, you're going to open that subject line. It's intriguing, it's a bit different, and that's how it gets you to open stuff. There's always intrigue and storytelling and difference. I mean, you're going to open that subject line. So there's the first listen. The subject line is really interesting, and then I've got the arrow pointing down because as you read down, the way he writes is classic copyright, and it's leading you down the page. Your eyes just go down and down and down, and you can't help but read this guy's stuff. It's just fascinating. You might be asking, how does he make $1,000,000 a year? Well, it could be a lot more than that. He essentially sells a membership, a once per month hard copy newsletter that goes out. I think it's $100 US per month and is rumored to have thousands of subscribers. And that's his main thing. He dabbles in a few other things as well. He has some books and resources that he sells as well. We'll go into that more in case soon. Now, I just wanted to say, copywriting seems to be one of the business superpowers. This guy here, Sam Parr, who eventually will be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I listen to his podcast because it's really cool. And he's said openly many times now that once he learned a high level of copywriting, everything changed for him. His ability to sell, his ability to convince and persuade, right down to finding the right partner, all that stuff. He said, Sam Parr, who's a very big name in the business education space now, in the podcast space, has said that copywriting really changed his business and his abilities to do what he wants to do. So some notes on Ben Siddle. So essentially, the guy is a direct response marketing guru. He's been doing this for years, helping other people to grow their businesses by writing copy for them and generally taking stakes in the results so that he does some work and gets a big outcome from that. And that's essentially what his business was for a long time. He decided young that he didn't want a job, he didn't want to work for some dude, he wanted to do his own thing, and he learned about copywriting not really that long ago. It seems like about 20 years ago, and just immersed himself in that because he could see that this one skill could transform his work life so he could have total control over his income, his day, and his business. So he essentially was doing this marketing work, this copywriting work for other businesses, and then thought, hey, I could make an email list out of this because people want to learn what I know. So he started to build his email list, and eventually that turned into the membership and also selling other things. So what he sells now, he's got his monthly print newsletter. So super smart. No one can copy his stuff because it's physically mailed to you. So it doesn't matter where you live, he physically emails you the newsletter. I think it's a stroke of genius, and it stands out. You get so much email, and ironically, he's an email guy, but he sends out actual mail. And who doesn't love to sit down with an actual book? So that's what it is. And I think it's an expensive membership, to be honest, but people pay it because they know that they'll get better in business. I follow lots of email marketers on planet Earth, and I'd say that 90% of them get this newsletter and have been inspired by Ben Siddle in some way at some point, or are directly mentored by him. Like, he's the best at this. So he also has a software that he sells, and he's dabbled with a few software options lately, and a few other products that he sells, namely books. Okay, so he's got a few high-end books that he sells occasionally, and they'll be like hundreds of dollars, but people know that they're very, very good. Yes, he could sell them for 50, but he sells them for 500 because he knows that people will take it seriously, they'll treasure it, they'll really dive in. And in that regard, everybody wins because he charges a lot, so people take it seriously, they do the work, they really get it done, they get a result, and it grows the Ben Siddle reputation even more. So the reason that people have no problem paying his high fees for his recurring membership and his books is because his reputation is huge. He doesn't do Facebook, he doesn't do Twitter, he doesn't do Google Ads, he just does email marketing. So people want to get in on what he knows. Occasionally, he'll also sell other people's products on his list. That's called an affiliate deal. So someone might come along with a course or something that he likes and endorses and feels his list will benefit from, and they'll do like a 50-50 split. So he might sell 20 grand worth of this product in that month. The owner of the product gets 10, he gets 10. That's how it works. So in amongst all of those things, I'd say this guy's probably making millions per year, but nobody actually knows. If he was making less than 1 million US per year from his business, I'd be very, very surprised. But I don't know really what that number is. But it's all done via skilled copywriting, the ability to persuade people by words to do a thing, tapping into emotion and desired outcomes and bridging now versus then and the obvious steps to take. He does it brilliantly. But really, when I break down what this guy does, what he really does is essentially just this: an amazing, intriguing headline for each and every email. This guy does occasionally send out 5 or more emails in a day, but the fans of his skills will read those. There's always an intriguing headline every single time because he wants you to open it. And then, this is the key part here, is that it's essentially just a fascinating story or example or a bit of a yarn that he'll talk you through. He will just tell a fascinating story. That's how we've always communicated as humans. We have We've listened to stories, we've told stories. Stories move down time. We were writing stories down well before the internet, and we still like to communicate via stories. And then at the end of his email, he'll just have a little ask. Hey, by the way, here's this thing. Oh, by the way, 3 days to go to get next month's email players newsletter. And then guys like me talk about this online and grow his reputation even more. It's just crazy. And it's worth studying this guy because he's all in on this one thing without dabbling in the other things. You know, how did his business become so big and so profitable? His email list. Well, he's a master. He's a master at one thing. He's probably socially inept in person. Who knows? He might be, he might not be, but he's a master at copywriting, which is a great business amplifying skill. Anyone who learns copywriting grows their business, always. He's got massive runs on the board, so people know that he's done this for lots and lots of companies. Okay, so they hear about him, they get verification that he's real and legit because all the other copywriters in the world rave about him. So this guy's got reputation. He's got a huge reputation, so people want to get on his list. He's got plenty of edgy content. He's edgy, he's different, he's intriguing. People read his stuff. There's lots of it out there. He's got the daily email that, now this is really important, it entertains and educates at the same time. Okay, so he's educating people with his content and his style and how he puts his emails together, but done in a very entertaining way. And he's been in the game for so long that he knows how to do it really well. And I think one of the main things from the Ben Siddle lesson of, intrigue in business stories and unusual marketing stories is that I know I've been following this guy probably for about 7 or 8 years now. And he will occasionally, like there was a Facebook group, but it's gone. There was a YouTube channel, but it's gone. He's been on podcasts, but he doesn't do that anymore. He's tried all the little things, and he comes back to his single focus, which is write the email, spread the reputation, grow the list, a percentage will buy. And his business grows and grows and grows. And that's pretty much the story of Ben Siddle. He is a dude who's doing an amazing job with this one part of the marketing realm. And I wanted to tell the story of Ben Siddle because A, I want you to go and research this guy. B, I'd love it if you increased your ability to communicate, but specifically with copywriting. And C, I want you to think about your own business or job or whatever it is you're doing and think, is there a way I can do this better? Or is there a way I can do this differently? Because that's what you need to do. We're in a very, very busy time. There's lots of competition. There's a lot of competition for your eyeballs and your time online with YouTube, email, social, it's all out there. How can you do things differently? And that's kind of what I want to do with these unusual marketing stories, is just make you think a little bit. All right. Maybe go and join his email list for a while, bensettle.com. Jump on his email list and see what you think. You might find him annoying and repulsive, which he wouldn't mind at all. But there's a hell of a lot to learn from this guy, and I'd love you to learn some of that. Any comments, any questions, pop them down below. Please do subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later in the week, maybe next week, with another unusual marketing story. If there's anything you want to add that you've learned about copywriting and or Ben Siddle in particular, pop that in the comments. But for now, that's goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we will talk soon. Bye for now.